Hello. Welcome. Please join me if you would like to. Taking a couple of deep breaths. I always like to take a few deep breaths before I start speaking in order to ground myself. So I'm just going to breathe again. Lately I've been exhaling with sound, and I do my best to connect with my womb and allow the sound to come out from the deepest parts of me. So welcome. It is day 11 of my 30 lives in 30 days. And those of you that are new that might catch this on the replay, I had a download, an intuitive nudge that I decided to listen to that told me to go on social media live for 30 days in a row. So I am on day 11. I am standing in my commitment, and I have to say that there are days where I don't want to do it. We're only at day 11. Well, I shouldn't say only. I'm almost halfway through. And I've actually been enjoying it. So let me just not paint the wrong picture. I'm enjoying it. And like today, like I felt like I was starting to float. I had a really outwardly focused day. As one of my friends would say, I was humaning a lot today. And I like to balance humaning with connecting back inside and connecting upwards to spirit. And if I human more than I connect, I feel out of balance. And actually, what I've learned is with my new connection to my desire to connect with other humans, if I also spend way too much time inside and connecting to spirit, I also start to feel out of balance. So anyway, today was slightly out of balance in the outward connection. But I've just spent, let's see, it's 8:20. So I just spent the last 2 hours connecting inwards. I was, minus taking care of the dog. Does that count as outwards? Anyway, so I was outside and just laying outside until this area that I'm staying in right now, there's a lot of mosquitoes. So they started freaking biting me. And I love all of nature, and I love all living beings. They are all beautiful and sentient. And when the mosquitoes start to bite me for no reason, when I'm not near them and I'm not doing anything to them, that gets me very mad. So I couldn't finish my meditation outside, and I had to reset up inside. Anyway, that's a screenshot of where I'm at right now. But when I asked what is the highest and best to talk about, I had a few things come up. Last night, I taught my class, as you saw if you're watching these videos every day, thank you. If you're watching some of them, thank you. And, so last night in my class, I talked about what is happening this week, not only astrologically, but also, I hope I said it in my video last night, but I was so tired. And I had come back, I was just tired. But yesterday was Juneteenth. Yesterday was June 19th. So Juneteenth is a national holiday that celebrates the day that the slaves were freed here in America, thank goodness. And so I talked about that in my class. And then since I'm only there on Wednesdays, I also talked about what was happening today and also tomorrow. So today is the summer solstice. It is the longest day of the year, and it is an energetic portal. I notice with myself that I get really sensitive to any energetic portals, so I get either tired or cranky sometimes actually very energized. So today I had really high energy, and then I kind of dropped. So I wanted to just kind of reiterate here. I jotted down on a piece of paper just to remember what this represents, this summer solstice. So it's a time of renewal, and so I didn't bring my vision board here, and I thought I had a picture of it in my phone. So those of you that have vision boards, I highly recommend taking a picture of it in your phone. I thought mine was here, but anyway, it's a really good time. It's like the mid-year point where the portal just kind of opens, and it gives us energy to be able to stop and evaluate. Okay, so we had January through now, and then we're at this like little pause, this portal, and then we have now through December. And so look at what you've called in, what you've created, what you've let go of, and where have you been putting your energy, your space, and your time from January until now, and evaluate what feels good and what doesn't. And then you could recalibrate for the next part of the year. So that's where I was at both yesterday and today, just really thinking about the things I've put on my vision board that came to fruition, what things are like kind of popping up right now, and then I haven't fully formulated how what I would like to call in for the next 6 months. But this is a time for that. And so it's also a time for taking responsibility for our goals, and that means discipline. So I have pretty good self-discipline, but sometimes when I get like, I'm not sure what the next step is, I kind of go into like this freeze response where I'm not sure what to do. And when that happens, what would be helpful is to just do something, right? Get something done. But sometimes I do that. I'll remember to just get anything done. So if you experience freeze, great thing to do is to just pick anything. It could be just folding laundry. Just do something so that you get the energy moving and you feel like you've gotten something done. Other times I might just kind of like get floaty. So, but I've been able to get some things done, which is super nice. And I've already been revving up on what I'm creating, but it's not 100% clear. A few parts of it are clear, and a few parts I'm still lining up with. So, so it's a good time for check-in. Even if you just lay down and look at the sky, whether if you do it now, look at the stars, or just look at the darkness, or earlier, if you did it earlier today, or even tomorrow, and just take some time to pause. When I was getting bit up by mosquitoes before, I was laying at the pool, and I was listening actually to my own meditation. So I record meditations for my private clients, and I happen to find them very effective for myself too. Something about, I guess, just hearing my own voice has been really helpful. So I was listening to one of my newer meditations, and unfortunately I had to get up in the middle because I was getting bitten up by those mosquitoes. So yeah, and I did some cards for myself today too, and I jotted down a part of one of my card messages because I think it might support anybody else that might watch this video later. It was also about checking in, but it was checking in the sense of nourishment. And when I was in health coaching school, we learned about, primary foods and secondary foods. And when I asked my clients what they thought primary foods were, they would normally name like fruits and vegetables, getting protein, complex grains, things like that, complex carbs. But your primary food are your secondary food is the food you eat, right? And you nourish through nutrition. But we also nourish in other ways, primary foods, right? So that would be maybe we need connection, maybe we need solitude, maybe we need love, maybe we need to express our creativity, maybe we need to express our anger, any of those things. So other things that you need that nourish you would be your primary foods. And so this card obviously didn't talk about primary foods, but this card was asking to check in what you need to nourish yourself. And that's how I realized that I had planned my day with too many outward things, and what I really needed was some solitude time to feel into the energy of the portal, which I then, once I realized that, I gave to myself later in the day. But I can tell that my energy was maybe a little, not maybe, my energy was a little cranky, it was a little tight, and I really don't like that. And the fact that, that I have the ability to be aware, I feel like my phone is sliding down, down, down. And because I have the awareness, it's like very frustrating for me because I know how to take good care of myself. So anyway, we get to be patient with ourselves. Even no matter how much you know, it doesn't matter. You get to be patient with yourself. And I'm telling myself that. And I'm telling you that too. Right? So we want to be patient with ourselves. When we set ourselves up for greatness, and also when we set ourselves up in a way that doesn't feel so good, right? And it all happens sometimes. I also picked another card, and this time I have the book in front of me because it just felt like I was supposed to share it, that this might not be just for me, but that it might be for the collective. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but part of it. And the first sentence says, "The challenge of life is to keep your heart open when you most want to close it." How many of you have wanted to close your heart when things get difficult, when you feel betrayed or abandoned or just hurt or angry? A lot of times we want to close our hearts. This card is saying, let life crack you open. Open through hurt and loss, and allow what's falling away to fall away. Big, right? That's a big one. It says, being human is a courageous act. A life well lived is full of losses and tragedies, and as much as triumphs and adventures. So when you find yourself at the moment, life is coaxing you to keep your heart open, no matter how much it might hurt, to continually unfold, to let life crack you open. I wonder who this is for. There's actually nobody live on here with me right now. So I find that very interesting because I've had between 5 and 9 people live and not right now. So I just wonder who is going to come back on this, whose heart is being cracked open, and who needed the reminder that it's happening for you and not to you. I learned that concept a really long time ago, and it's helped me so much. It's happening for you and not to you. It really helps you take yourself out of the victim mentality, and it can be so easy to be in victim mentality, but that's like the easy way out, right? And the cool thing is that we have a choice in the way we want to look at things. And just remembering that, like, when we're in these certain moments, and a lot of times it's a season, it's like a moment, and things continue to change. But when we look back on those moments, we can see how they've opened us and how we've become more wise. But, oh wait, hold on. Hey, Gracie. And we could see how we've become more wise. I'm sorry, my phone is like a little wobbly tonight. Here we go. But what I was saying, Gracie, is that when we go through things that are difficult and that might crack our heart open, in the moment we might, I would scratch might. Most of the time when we're going through something, we are not necessarily stopping to think about, oh, how is this opening up my heart? And how is this making me wiser? Like, usually we're like looking to figure out like how to, manage whatever's happening. But the beautiful thing about being a conscious creator of your life, like we're like literally a co-creator of our life. We're co-creating with Source, right? With God, with Spirit, with nature, however you believe. We're co-creating. And of course, check into your heart and you can connect with what you believe in. But that's what I feel in my heart. No matter how alone I have ever felt, I've always known that I'm not alone, because I know, like, if I'm on my knees crying or something else happens to me, and I'll say, oh God help me. So I know that even if I feel alone, I'm just telling myself a story, because the first thing that comes to me is to ask for support from Spirit. And yeah. So letting life crack you open, I think, and I'm reading, since you just signed on, Gracie, I'm reading from a card that I chose that I thought was not only just for me, but also for the collective. And part of what it said is to keep your heart open when you want to close it. And to stay open through hurt and loss. What that means to me is literally what I teach people, right? So when we have these feelings of hurt and loss, we, as humans, we naturally want to close. Naturally, humans want to move away from pain and towards pleasure. But the way for ascension and growth and personal development is to go towards the pain. It's like the opposite of what we intuitively want to do, right? Because we just want to feel better. But if we go into the pain, there is a feeling of surrender. I was speaking to somebody today, and she was asking me how I felt about something, and I was just like, I am just surrendering to it. I am just, it was about something that I wasn't sure why it's happening, and I wasn't sure how it's going to turn out. And so when I first noticed that was coming up for me, I was starting to feel like I wanted to control it, and I started to fall into like some fearful feelings. And then I was like, I guess after processing it over a number of days, I was like, that's not helping me, and it's actually not going to bring me towards where I want to go. So I can feel it, and I did. I let myself feel those feelings, and then I was like, okay. It's kind of like if you really let yourself cry, like a lot of times people feel like if they let themselves cry, they're never going to stop crying. But eventually, if you let yourself cry it out, eventually you're like, and like literally like another cry can't come out. Like it's just like you're done, and you feel kind of like softer. That's the feeling of surrender, where you're just like softening up, right? So it's like, oh, actually I don't have to be so afraid of feeling. And that sometimes takes like being held by somebody else. Oh wait, here's a comment. Yes, I have experienced this softness after a cry. Yeah, right? It's like this, and it only happens when we really let ourselves cry. Not like when we're talking in front of somebody and like the tear comes down and then we're like trying to hold it in. No, it's like the ugly cry comes out. The ugly, ugly cry, and then it just keeps going, snotty, ugly cry, and like perhaps hyperventilating, and then it just literally like it's like a and like nothing else could come out, and then there is that, and it's like, how could I do that more, right? Because in that surrender is where whatever you believe in, where God or spirit can come in and help you, right? So that's where the downloads could come in. I call them downloads, right? So it's like when this message comes through and it's like, I knew it didn't come from me. And so that's where the ideas come. And that's where this card is. And I feel like even though this portal is the beginning of the summer, there is some evaluations going on. So that might make you look at things like what, maybe there was people that no longer were in your vibration and have come off of your radar, right? And that could feel painful or just uncomfortable. And then because your vibration has changed, maybe new people have come into your vibration that feel more aligned with you. And that could soften the blow of anybody that's like, going off of your radar, right? People come in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And, I do, my dear friend, dear sister, Melisandra, you might know her. She's a fellow teacher at Casamana Bliss. And we've become dear friends. And she gave me this banner once. And it was something like about life, and when you look back, how easily have you let go? And when I read that the first time, I was like, oh, it like hit me. Because, I think that's been one of my life challenges, is how easily can I let go? And it's definitely been a journey. I can see as I look back, as I said in my other video the other day, I'm almost at the age that my mom was when she passed, when she transitioned to the other side. And so I'm looking at like, another, I think in another year or two, I'll be older than my mom ever was. And for some reason, it's making me really like look at my life, at everything. And, like Wayne Dyer, he's one of my favorites. And I followed him for a really long time while he was alive. And I used to listen to his weekly show for a really long time. And one of the books he wrote was called I Can See Clearly Now. And he wrote that book from the perspective that he was, I forget how old he was. He died at age 75 or 76. And then, so I think this might have been, 10 years before or something like that. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, whatever it was, he was looking back at his life, and he called his book I Can See Clearly Now, because he was looking back at these difficult situations, right? As like this card is saying, like let your heart get cracked open. Keep your heart open even when it's broken. And he looked back at his life, and everything started to make sense to him. He started to understand why he went through certain things and how it opened him up to these next steps, these next levels, the next levels of wisdom. And so I thought, that's so freaking wise, right? Because that's how you become the student of your life, and that's how you become open to the lessons. And it is my intention that can be a part of the path of letting go, and letting go of bitterness, letting go of how we thought things are supposed to be, how people are supposed to be, how we wished things could have been. And I think that when we hold on to stuff like that, I think it makes us sick. And so I really do believe, okay, I guess this is coming through. Okay, I'm going to share a little vulnerably. So I talked about my mother had transitioned at a fairly young age, and she transitioned because she had leukemia and lymphoma at a pretty young age, and she was sick for 2 years. And what my interpretation was, leukemia and lymphoma are both forms of cancer, and according to things that I've studied, cancer is something that's eating away at you. And I knew that, oh, hey girl, hey Lauren. I felt that with her, that she had stuff that she just wasn't able to let go of. She just wasn't able to let go. And I felt like that was eating away at her, and that is what transpired into disease for her. And I just felt quietly clear on that. I mean, of course, I'll never have proof, but I lost my train of thought of why I was saying that. Oh, about letting go. So, and I think that it's okay if we don't let go easily. But if we have, it's the same thing as forgiveness. They come together, and if we have the intention to be able to let go, to be able to forgive, it brings more room for freedom, and it brings more room for health. And then our bodies will come back to homeostasis on their own, right? And I'm going to refer back to health coaching school again. For some reason tonight, that keeps coming out. What did our teacher say? He would say, let's see if I can get the quote. When given half a chance, the body, something like when given half the chance in the right circumstance, the body will heal itself. Hey, Kim. The body will heal itself. The body can heal itself as long as we give it the right circumstance. So the right circumstance would be nutrition. The right circumstance would be our thinking, right? So a part of that is letting go. And I can definitely say that I'm still on the path of what next level can I let go of? And I've done a pretty good job. And I've noticed that, as I said, as I've been looking back. And so on this solstice day, the longest day of the year, and this time to evaluate and think about, like, okay, where have I been from January till now? And, there's certain things that have worked really well, and certain things that I as I said earlier, if you have a vision board or if you have a list that you made at the beginning of the year, today is a really good day, or the next couple days is a really good time to look at what you've created and what you had intended for 2024 and what showed up and what felt really good. And it's also a good time to see maybe what else is on your vision board that you still would like to achieve, and give yourself some by whens, like some baby steps. I just gave myself some baby steps tonight of what I'd like to do by tomorrow, by Monday, by next week. So I'm taking some new actions. And then also looking at your vision board or your life goals or this year's goals, and what no longer works for you. Just because you made some commitments in January, or I shouldn't say commitments, but declarations, and if they don't feel aligned in your body with the growth that you have made, then it's okay to say, you know what, X, and take it off your vision board. Or just say, I'm going to just mark this as not this year. So it's okay to change your mind. So that's where I've been at today, just giving myself, looking into myself and seeing how I can continue to nourish myself. Again, I noticed that I was on the go today. I was meeting some cool people and having some cool phone conversations. And then I was like, I felt so out, and I just felt like I needed to come in. And I know what I need. So I know that I need to have a really good balance. If I have too much out time or too much in time, I don't feel okay. But you also have to know that I have 4 Libras in my chart. So I am I am very like air. I'm also Vata, and I also have Gemini. So I have a lot of air in my chart. So if I am way out there all the time, I am so floaty. So I get to really ground. So I literally went outside, laid on a towel with one of my meditations, and just started breathing and just connecting to the earth, looking at the sky. Of course, until I got bit up by mosquitoes. But I'll digress. But back to this card that I chose. So I was reading from the book of the card that I chose because I didn't feel like it was just for me. And so, yeah, this is a time that if your heart is cracked open, like breathe into it and let yourself feel that, because you'll get to that point of surrender. And I'm so grateful that I'm feeling that today. As I said, I had that phone call and I was talking about certain things in my life that I'm just not sure how they're going to turn out. And then, and I realized that I've processed it to the point where I feel very, I don't have an answer, but I feel surrendered. I feel like I'm giving it up to a higher source, and I'm also taking action. So anyway, that feels really good. Let's see if there's anything else from this book that would be helpful to share with you. Yeah, wherever you find yourself at the moment, keep your heart open. Yeah, let life crack you open. How cool is that? Yeah. This is interesting. Can you see your difficulties as a blessing? I know I did that the other day when I had that interaction that I talked about in my other video. And at first it was so difficult. And then I realized like how I got to show up and how I got to show up in a way like that moved through my fear of being abandoned, betrayed, and judged. And that itself made me feel so proud and just like at peace. It kind of built up my heart. And then on the icing on the cake was that it uplifted our friendship. So it was that, but that that person's answer was not going to regulate my actions anymore. So that is new-ish for me. I mean, I've been practicing it for a while, but this was like one that was super important to me. And so, I kept my heart open in that, where I could have come back, with a negative response. I could have come back with a negative response, right? I had an interaction, 3 or 4 weeks ago with somebody. Oh, thank you. I'm so happy that resonates. I had an interaction with somebody else that I had been friends with for a very long time, and it didn't work out that way. And actually, that person was not able to regulate herself. She was not able to come back to grounding. She was not able to communicate from the heart, where it just wasn't a place to share, because it was going to be received with a lot of sharp pushback. So that was, that didn't feel so good. But I felt really good about the way I handled myself, because in that case, speaking your truth sometimes means not speaking your truth. Meaning, sometimes you remove yourself from that energy, because if somebody's in a downward spiral and they're trying to pull you down with them, and they're not able to see themselves and they're not able to self-regulate, like, it's not up to us to coach them. I'm a coach, but if you hire me as a coach, I can help you upregulate. But if I'm not your coach, and you're coming at me, I could, take care of my side of the street, but I can't take care of yours. And so when I had something that could have escalated this week, but this person was as conscious as I was and was able to receive what I had to say, it was pretty cool. So start to notice when you're evaluating, like, okay, this is the midpoint of the year, I'm looking at my year, it could be your goals, but it could also be your relationships. It could be your intentions on relationships, on your interactions, right? So I had intended to surround myself with more people of like vibration as me and where I am going, right? And so I want to be around people that are on this path and maybe even ahead of me on the path, right? I just listened to a podcast from, I don't remember who it was, but it was a really cool speaker. And he was like, it might have been David Asprey, maybe. He's the one that started the coffee with the coconut oil in it. I can't remember the name, but anyway, David Asprey, and I think it was him that said, "If I am the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room," and I was like, very cool, right? So we want to be around people that are on this path and ahead even, so that we can keep moving forward and also let us become that person, so that the person who's maybe just a couple steps behind can see. So that means that we become, or the person ahead of us becomes and there's a word for it. Yeah, language is so limiting. It is okay, it'll come back to me. But you can use that as somebody who's like inspiring you. So instead of looking at people who are if you look at people who are where you want to be, you have two choices at that point. You can be envious or you can be inspired, right? So I choose, of course, sometimes I fall into envy. I'm a human being, of course, but I'm able to pivot it and catch it really quick, because I'm like, oh, if that feeling comes up, that means that's something I'd like to do. Cool, let me pay attention to that and send them love and send them, cheering them on. And then it starts to dissipate in my body as anything like comparing. And instead it's like, yeah, inspiring. And when I think of the word, hopefully it'll come back to me tonight, and I'll put it in the comments. But there's a word for it. Oh, an expander. Oh, thank God. So that is an expander, right? Somebody who is like, maybe has been through something that you've been through and is out the other side. I like to look at Louise Hay and Wayne Dyer as expanders. Those are two of my first expanders, especially, they both came from childhoods that were like exceptionally trying, and they didn't live life as victims, and they developed beautiful relationships. They inspired thousands, probably millions of people, and created lives that were peaceful and nourishing for themselves. They were embodying the work. And so, those are people that I have always wanted to be like. And this is what the vision board is good for. So if you're liking the idea of vision boarding, I will be, I do it every year. I've been hosting. It used to be a vision board party. Now it's a manifestation journey, because it's gotten a lot deeper and a lot more ritual-like. But we still make vision boards in a party atmosphere. And I haven't actually chosen the date yet, but it's going to be in November or December. So put that in your... And so one of the great things is to cut out pictures of the people that inspire you. So as I said, I'm here animal sitting, and by the way, she's doing so much better. If you've been following me, she's had a journey with her skin, and the remedies are working. I've been doing Reiki on her. It's been working. In fact, today I didn't even do Reiki on her, and she's doing so much better. I did Reiki on her 5 or 6 times over the days I've been here. And at first she was like, "What are you doing?" And then she went, "Ooh." So she surrendered. It's kind of like having that big cry, right? And she surrendered, and you can see, because her leg would kind of do something and then it would soften. When you do Reiki on animals, always do a lot less. Those of you who are Reiki practitioners, you probably know that. But so we do a small amount and then number of times. And we've also been giving her homeopathic remedies. So it's really cool that the owner here does homeopathic work, homeopathic remedies for her animal, which is how I got into homeopathy when I had my 2 dogs. So anyway, I'm going in all kinds of directions tonight. I feel like I'm just like hanging out because we already did our walks, we did everything. So I think I really like this later time, but I'm going to still try to do earlier. But anyway, back to the card. Let's see if there's any other part of the card that I wanted to share. So this is really about, so as you're looking back at your year, if you're also looking back at your life and you remember things, successes, like what went well, please make sure you celebrate yourself. It's so, so important to celebrate yourself. Give yourself a high five or tell yourself, just, yeah, I really did a good job and I'm so grateful. And if anything didn't go well, that's okay. Just give yourself compassion and think about, okay, I'm going to pivot from here. And where are you going to move? What is pivoting going to look like for you? And let's see if this card holds space for any of that too. Right, it's just reminding you that life is happening to you, not for you, right? Can you hold on to that and remember that? And one day in the not too distant future may just bless the thing that broke you down and cracked you open. Yeah, that's the Wayne Dyer book, right? So that's his book, I Can See Clearly Now, how he looked back on his life. And I can give you a short story about that too. So I was mentioning to you, those of you that have signed on later, if you go back and listen to the beginning, I was mentioning that I am getting to the age where my mom died, and then soon I'm going to be older than she ever was. So that kind of has made me feel really funky. It's been making me look back on my life. And so it's making me look at things that I have let go of and did a really great job of letting go of, things that I didn't do a great job of letting go of, things that I've learned and how much wiser I am now than, like, let's say, like when I got married, right? I'm a completely different person from that girl, that adorable young woman that I was. But just blessing the thing that broke you down and cracked you open is what this card is saying. And what it's reminding me of is the blessing that I found, as I mentioned earlier, about the holding on. And I feel that's the reason that my mother had developed leukemia and lymphoma. And, but one of the cool things is that if you've read any of my posts, if you've followed me for a long time, at some point I have made posts about my mother, because of course, like, I'm a woman, like, the mother's a very significant relationship, whether it was a positive one or not. And those people that have worked with me know too. And so my relationship with my mother was difficult. It was very difficult. And so I developed a lot of trauma responses from that experience. And to the point where when I was a young adult, after I graduated college, I was like, I can't speak to her. I need to heal. Like, speaking to her and her not recognizing any of the things, like, her response was, "What'd I ever do? Yell at you a couple times?" And I was like, oh, like, it was, I guess that's gaslighting, but I really think she believed that. I think she just had no capacity to see herself. And since it's been a long time, and so since then I've been able to really, like fully accept that. Like, it's okay. Like, I mean, it's not okay, but it's okay. It's like, okay, that's what my soul chose to experience in this life. So yeah, it is okay, right? So I'm no longer wishing it was different. But what ended up happening, oh, same, thanks, Gracie. Oh, wait, here's another. This is 100% your purpose. Whoa, which part, Lauren? I missed your comment before. let me know. I would love to hear your vision of what my purpose is. It's always nice to hear that feedback. But yeah, so with my mom, so she got sick, and at the time we weren't talking. And at the risk of being judged by anybody watching this, she was not invited to my wedding. It was just too painful. It was too raw, and there was no resolution, there was no repair. And so at that time, I didn't stay like fully angry with her. It was just more like seeing her and acknowledging having her in my life and making believe that nothing was wrong was too painful and disrespecting to myself. So I chose not to have her at my wedding. But then she got sick, and I got the news. And so when I got the news, I was on my knees. And I never ever thought that would happen, because we didn't have a relationship to begin with. So what was I losing? But anyway, why am I telling this story? So fast forward, I made the surprising to me, I made the surprising decision to go up north to New York to go visit her in the hospital. She was at Sloan Kettering. And yeah. Wow. It still brings back. They're happy tears, because here's the gold. This is the reason why I'm sharing the story. Because you can find a blessing, like what this card is saying, to keep your heart open, because eventually, what does it say? You might bless the thing that broke you down. So I visited her, and my husband at the time met her, and after that, we developed a relationship. We spoke on the phone regularly. I came up to visit her, and it was like she still never really acknowledged or apologized, but it was like inside of my body, it surrendered, and I felt like this instant forgiveness. And I got to experience myself in having a relationship with my mother. Like, talking on the phone on a regular basis. I remember hanging up the phone going, I can't believe that I just had a conversation with my mother, right? Whereas, my friends around me all were very close to their moms. So cancer became a blessing to us, right? Because she got sick, it was able to bring down the wall. There was no more wishing things were different. Time might be limited, although she didn't think so. I think I had I just had a gut thing. And so I got that time with her for 2 years. So maybe as you're evaluating your 2024 and what you're letting go of, what you're calling in, and maybe think about what thing is breaking your heart that could also break your heart open. That, where can you glean gold from something challenging, right? Because a lot of times we don't look for gleaning the gold. We just look for how do I fix this? How do I feel better? Or I want this to stop, or why is this happening to me? See if you can go deeper into it, like cry, or rage, right? Like my clients, I give them a rage release exercise. I have 2 or 3 of them that I give. And it works. And then you can maybe find the blessing, right? And so I found so much. I found forgiveness, I found wisdom, I found compassion. There was a lot that came out of it with me. Oh, Lauren, same with you. Awesome. So it's beautiful. And we get to have that for the rest of our lives. And it's so awesome. I just burped. I feel like I'm clearing for you guys. So let's see if there's anything else from the card. Yeah. It says, one day not too far from today, you will look back at the transformation and be blown away by the poetry of life. So even if the seas are not smooth sailing, you are held. I love that. So on this summer solstice, just looking back and looking forward, and thinking about what is the next thing for you. Where can your heart be open, and I know what my next steps are. Also, it's not all woo woo. In the energy of this solstice, it's also about like giving yourself those steps. I mentioned that earlier. I'm just going to kind of repeat that before I sign off. But it's giving yourself those steps, right? So this is in Capricorn, so it's like, okay, like give yourself the by when, give yourself steps, and let's start taking some little baby steps. It doesn't have to be a big thing, and just I find that just kind of having that balance between like being soft with yourself and understanding and kind, and also like the parent saying, okay, like pity party's over, or not sure what you want to do is over. Make a choice, take an action. And so that's what the energy of this is. And it's summer, right? So summer is like brightness and sunshine, and everything's moving fast and swimming, and people are traveling. It's a lot of doing. So this feels like a good time to do this and reevaluate. So feel free to share in the comments what you are planning on doing. What do you want to take action on? What feels good for you? And let's make this summer flow. Tomorrow, I'll be on day 12. Today is day 11 of my 30 lives in 30 days, and it's the full moon tomorrow. I forget exactly what time it's at. I'd have to look in my phone, but I can't because I'm talking to you on my phone. But anyway, so I'll talk a little bit about the full moon, and but the full moon energy this month is very aligned with the same message as the solstice. So just see where you can evaluate where you are, where you're going, and feel those feelings. And also remember, because this is an energetic portal, you might feel anywhere from anxious to like fatigued or depressed, or just low. So just allow like whatever flows through you. I think I kind of had the full spectrum today. I was like feeling like tired, and then I was like really energetic and having these nice connections, and then I was feeling like depleted, and then I came back to connected. So but I was fully present with myself the entire time. So see where you can be present with yourself. And those of you ladies, I see you that had a similar experience with your mothers. And yeah, how cool is that we get to change this. We're not changing the story of what happened, but we get to change our relationship to the story of what happened, so that we can be in this life and leave this life with feelings of forgiveness. And we're going to stop the pattern, right, of this somebody should do something different. I know I can even think where I get to still do that a little bit more, and that feels really, really good to me. It feels really, really good to have compassion for people that might not respond the way I wish they would, but like holding on to that is just like, ugh, it doesn't feel good for me. And if that person isn't open to that, like, let it go. It's okay. And I used to have this buddy of mine, and he would be like, you be you, let you be you. And yeah, I think the more that we let us be us and let other people be them, then that's like what we get to do, and that brings us freedom. It brings us freedom. So, and that of course all circles back to my program, right? Like with authentic expression activation. Like that was my point in creating it, and I created it based on all of the techniques that I've learned over the years, going from a young girl who couldn't speak up, who was terrified to speak up, to speaking up a little and getting slammed for it, and then learning how to, hey Cheryl, I'm just winding up, but I was just saying that, now I forgot what I was saying. I was so happy to see you. But yeah, my program. So I was just explaining how my program was birthed. Authentic Expression Activation was birthed from my journey of learning how to express, and it's still, there's always a next level, right? And so as I've been editing it this year and adding more to it, taking away some stuff that felt stale, and it's become more powerful. And I'm also intending on doing some of that with my Ignite Radical Radiance group program. I would like to launch that before the end of this year. I've been speaking to the ladies that were in it. I still have 2 more people to speak with, and the feedback was phenomenal, and the long-lasting effects of it. And I would really like to expand upon that too. So, yeah, but just know that this is stuff that I've learned because I've walked in the trenches, and I've walked through the fire, and I still do walk through the fire, and I intend on always being a student. and I do feel that's my dharma, to do the hard things, but I hope also easy things. I hope things start to, become a little bit easier. Actually, things have become easier. I scratch that. And but yeah, it's an honor to share what I've learned, and I will continue to learn and continue to share. So anyway, I'm sending so much love on this summer solstice, and just remember that this is an energetic portal, so take care of your body, whether it's taking a bath or an intentional shower or a cup of tea that doesn't have caffeine in it, something very nurturing for yourself. Nurturing either nutritionally or emotionally or energetically. Take good care of yourself tonight. It's a powerful time, and then and we have the full moon tomorrow, so we all know that affects emotions too, and I'll talk about that more on tomorrow's live. So, all right, well, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your comments. This was so lovely, and yeah, thanks for coming back each time. I really appreciate all of you. All right, sending so much love. Namaste.